Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. We're going to talk about CLI 42 cartridges, the ones that you choose to then refill, which require, the modification or the removal of the ball. But if you do not use the correct plug, you may end up with a huge problem. What may that be, you may ask? Well, a recent viewer told me that his cartridge had been emptying out uncontrollably inside the printer. He would fill it, put the plug back on it, and it would empty out. After a couple of exchanges, I realized he lived in the UK and he had been using the very popular over there tapered plugs, which I highly recommend you do not use. The reason being is that they require supposedly no drilling of the seat that is left behind when you remove that ball. It's a very round spherical seat. It's got a little hole in the bottom and the ball sits in it. When you remove that ball, that little hole is not enough, is not large enough to allow any plug to pass through. And why is that important? I'll tell you in a second. The thing you need to do is to drill out that seat with a 5/32 of an inch drill. And if you're in the UK and you're using metric, find out which one is the closest, maybe slightly smaller diameter. Do it carefully so you do not end up with an oval hole. It's got to be nice and round. That is it. Don't worry about the chips. They will not fall in. The drill has a reverse helix. It'll pull the chips out. And even if they do fall in a little piece of plastic or something, it'll just float. It's not going to end up in the sponge. Don't worry about that. So once you do that, then you can use the proper plug that I recommend. And I don't care what anyone says. This is the way to do things, okay? You use a straight wall plug, especially one with a tab on the side like this one. When you remove this plug, it requires some force. When you enter it, the theory being that if I did not drill that hole, I would not be able to go further than that. And a taper plug, basically because it is tapered, is going to get wet in there, It's going to become very slippery. And what happens? It'll just slip out at some point. You will not see it coming. It will slip out and you will lose what? The seal. You must have a complete seal in this chamber, the one you modified. While the cartridge is OEM, untampered with, there's no worries about that. It's when you stick your fingers in the mix and you begin to modify these cartridges that you need to watch out for that. So you drill out the hole. The inner diameter of this factory hole is larger than 5/32 of an inch. So when you drill the seat, you're creating an opening that's slightly narrower in diameter than the actual diameter of that factory cylindrical hole. When you insert your plug, it stops, and then you have to keep on pressing. It will compress, and it will emerge past that seat, and it will re-expand again, causing the perfect seal. Why do you want to do that? Well, if you do not have a seal here, any ink that you have in this chamber is going to uncontrollably flow right out. The chip will not know this. So the chip will report to you, hey, I have a full cartridge of ink, when in reality you have basically an empty cartridge. So you start to print and you will start to draw whatever ink is left in that sponge. And that will immediately, within a few prints, give you a dead, empty sponge, which will then begin to show up as a lacking, for instance, in this case, photo magenta. Your prints will show that. You continue to print in this manner, thinking, oh, I just need to run a cleaning cycle. You're going to eventually burn out your print head that way. So the way to absolutely avoid this is to drill out that hole. Yeah, you have to do that. But I'm going to give you at the end the easiest way to get out of this problem. Okay? But drill it out, 5/32 of an inch. Buy yourself some of these tabbed type plugs. I'll tell you where to get those as well. Push it all the way in. It should be a force fit. Right now it's practically flush on the surface of the cartridge. There is no way that ink is going to leak out due to any kind of leaking in this port right here. Okay, that's what you want. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try this. I hope it works. Normally, the way you test the sealing of your liquid chamber and your plug is to remove the bottom clip and hope for the best. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it. We're going to hold it over a cup. I don't mind getting dirty. And we get one drop. That is normal. Here's another drop. And that is it. No more ink is leaking out. That's it. That's what you want. You want to see that first and second drop. I've said this before. No more ink is getting out. Now, if I remove the fill plug, all of the ink will pour out, including the ink in the sponge. And that's how you test ink flow when you refill. The first or, around the 5th time, the 10th time, check your ink flow to make sure that you're still maintaining the proper level of ink flow. So that is it. Another drop. You see how it's taking forever. Okay, at some point, no more ink will drop. That's what you want to achieve. That means I have a good seal over here on my fill plug. Otherwise, it would be dripping, 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 dripping uncontrollably. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and very carefully put the clip back on it. That tells me that this cartridge, when I install it on my printer, will maintain the proper level of ink that I have loaded on it and will just be used as needed by the printer. Lucky for me, I didn't get any ink in my hands. I just got to wash out this cup now. But anyway, that is it. So the moral of this story is to drill out that seat, insert that plug all the way through that seat so that it re-expands beyond that and creates a perfect seal. And that will provide you with a leak-proof cartridge. Another subject is if you overfill this. See, and this is a secret a lot of people don't realize. When you remove that little tab initially, when the cartridge was new, you have uncovered the vent, and it's a serpentine vent, like a serpent, zigzaggy. That allows air to enter as ink is being used. So you need to replenish the space with air. If you overfill this, you will get ink inside that vent, and the ink will not flow at all. And you will get ink starvation on your prints. Guess how you have to clear that? You take this off, you hold it over a cup, you literally put your mouth over that exposed area of the vent and blow. And that will clear out that vent. You will get ink in your lips possibly as well. Let me show you what an OEM cartridge looks like when it's empty. Notice the top is still white. Okay? Only when we sever this area here will ink be allowed to migrate all the way to the top. All you have to have is enough ink on the lower half of the sponge. And while it is OEM, this has not been severed at all, you get the perfect ink flow. Once you sever it, you have reduced the reliability of the ink flow in your cartridge. Here's another OEM. This one's still in use. I haven't even modified yet. I just used it just a tiny bit to print those test images that I showed you guys in a previous video. You can see that the top is white. You see that? It's still white. Only when you sever that cartridge does the sponge, wrongly I should add, saturates itself to the top. Yeah, you're reducing the reliability or the performance of the ink flow when you go ahead and modify it for refilling. Sorry, but that's what happens. So the idea behind refilling is to eliminate any possibility of reduction of ink flow. You will reduce it anyway, but you don't want to reduce it more than you need to. So make sure that you do your refilling correctly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I was going to... Oh, wait a minute. No, I lied. Get your cartridges already pre-modified, already flushed, with the best plugs, with the best clips from Rick Johnson's store on eBay. His link is on my descriptions. If you don't read my descriptions, I know you don't, you will miss the link and many others that are there all the time. So make sure you take a little bit of extra time, read the description, and you will find it there. You can also buy just a single yellow cartridge that has been modified. This is a true CLI 42 yellow cartridge. You don't have to do any chip swap or any of the sort. And you will be able to then, if you choose to do your other cartridges, you'll be able to begin to use someone else's inks on that perfectly pre-modified and flush cartridge for yellow, because you know what that causes. The mixing of those two yellows could possibly cause some gelling to take effect, and that will cause problems in your printhead. All right, enough of that. That is enough for tonight. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Click that little ding-dong bell, and then tell it to let you know that Jose has uploaded a new video. If you do not do that, it will not notify you, even though you click on the notification bell. Yeah, they have made this a little bit tricky for us. So again, as always, happy printing, happy refilling. Bye-bye, everybody. Let me take a, oh, wait a minute. That's not a drink. Forget it. Bye-bye.